Medical professionals warn the public to top up their vaccinations immediately. This new urgency comes after toxicologists label the current flu strain exotic.
Reporting from the EMA today, doctors say the Union virus, as it's come to be known, is like no other seen before. They say it seems to be able to mutate while inside the host, making treatment.
You're listening to Weekday News on WKPRQ with Ash Landings. In other news, delegates of the World Union meetings held at the UN building are suffering from a mystery illness.
This is the BBC at noon with Timothy Squires. Doctors published a new list of symptoms today, raising the severity of the so-called Union virus to category A. Northern African Alliance leader N'Golo Kanoto died today. An asthma attack brought on by the Union virus was thought to be the cause.
Daytime News with Sean Shearer.
Medical facilities are at breaking point today as numbers of the infected increased exponentially. Hospitals are finding ever more members of staff are also unfit for work.
This is WKXB Rolling News. Officials are considering declaring a state of emergency today as the Union virus reached epidemic status.
Dr. Mutasson of the New York Medical Lab said, the situation is critical, as the virus had become like a cerebral flu or, as he put it, an encephalitic pneumonia.
Staff are under orders not to leave hospitals and clinics. The director of the Boston Medical Training College told us, we can no longer expect the fit to survive bleeding on the brain.
This is Diane Malik, live from 42nd Street.
The government plans to isolate parts of the populace in an attempt to stem the spread of the disease.
Reports death rates to be not just increasing, but changing as well. More and more are dying in the early stages of the infection, with the severity of the symptoms in the latter phase.
Like a ticking time bomb. In extreme cases, patients have been seen bleeding from said the brain had swollen tremendously and looked fit to explode.
mortuaries and no one to operate them. The National Guard have been called.
Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, the Executive Panel of Chiefs of Staff recognized the handiwork of a bioweapon architect named Sergei Barachkin. They strongly suspected he was working for Russia. The Russian consul insists his country had terminated Barachkin's employment a decade ago and say he emigrated soon after. They lost track of his movements 3 years ago. Quote, "The Russian Federation has never and will never use biological or chemical weapons. Russia observes the treaty on such things which was signed by them and the United States of America."
The Chief Medical Officer's Scientific Department say the virus has a radioactive component. Radium-158 is thought to be fueling the accelerated mutation.
Incineration converts radium into a fissionable material used in the production of yellow cake.
Some say the radiation could activate the virus in some unpredictable way.
Quote in a unfathomable move today, the BBC decided not to mention the ongoing disaster's latest developments, choosing instead to rerun yesterday's articles in a revised form.
What's being described as a civil curfew will be enforced this evening. The government spokesman said the situation was now so dire that martial law is the next logical step.
What's been described as a civil curfew which will enforce this evening. A government spokesman said the situación no está so dire that martial law is the next logical step.
A spokesperson for FEMA laid out the conditions for emergency lockdown effective from an hour ago. The Eastern Seaboard of America is now under martial law, as is Europe and Asia.
I'm Nesta McSteele, and you are listening to 360 Worldwide. Eye in the Sky. Union virus situation update in just a moment. In an emotional address this afternoon, the president described people as dropping like flies and asked us all to pray the virus will run its course sooner rather than later.
As you're stuck at home in these worrying times, sit back and let Radio Smooth Sailing ease your mind with some hot chocolate.
It started with a kiss,